Thanks for joining me. I do really appreciate it.
No worries.
Obviously, you're currently working at Special Olympics GB, so that's where
Yeah,
I'll start. For people who
yeah,
might not know, could you just kind of explain and break down what the Special Olympics is and what's their ultimate goal?
yeah. So Special Olympics GB, we use the power of sport to help change the lives of people who have an intellectual disability. An intellectual disability, I suppose, is better, it's more the global term over here in the UK. Learning disability is what is known more. So we have a network of grassroots sporting clubs across the country supporting people of all abilities to help to giving them a sporting opportunity. And we've got 27 different sports that we provide. And we've got a pathway that goes from your training once a week, twice a week, whatever it may be, right up to World Games. So like the Olympics and the Paralympics, we do have World Games every 4 years. They're in a different year sequence to the Olympics and Paralympics games, in that we had our World Winter Games earlier this year out in Turin. Our World Summer Games are in Chile in 2 years' time. So we're different in that sense. But also in that World Games cycle, we are not elite. So we're not an elite sporting organisation where it is quickest time, longest jump, fastest swim, whatever it may be. We have a variety of categories in all of our sporting events. You take, for example, the 100-meter sprint or something like that, you might have 30 medal categories from quite advanced down to sort of novice, limited ability level. And enables athletes to have more competition at their level, and also for them to experience competing in sport on a global stage. Why we do it is a lot of people with intellectual or learning disabilities have come through a lot of hardships in their lives. They've been bullied at school is an often case that we deal with. Um, Not allowed to participate in mainstream clubs. They've been shut out of those. A lot of hardships they've been shown throughout their opportunities, but sport can be the catalyst to change the world. And that's very much my belief, is sport can fix so many problems from a health, a well-being, but also a confidence perspective. So very much our journey is a medal means a huge amount to every athlete. But beyond that, I suppose our mission is, what can that medal do, or what can that sport do? Can it enable somebody to live a healthier, active lifestyle? It can help them develop new skill sets. It can help them go on to jobs, helping them live independently. Quite often when we speak to parents, it's like they've been told at an early age that their child won't be able to do much in life. They might not even speak. They might not be able to move a limited amount. But we have some incredible athletes within our Special Olympics Great Britain movement who've gone on to do incredible things, broke Guinness World Records as the youngest person with Down syndrome to complete a marathon, being able to complete jobs. I mean, ideally, we would live in a world where there doesn't have to be an organisation, a charity like Special Olympics GB, but unfortunately, society lends itself. We have to be there because of society. There is a record of only 6% of people with an intellectual disability in this country actually work, and that's not good enough. Society's got to be better than that. With the right tools and support, these people can achieve so much, and
I
that's what
guess
we do. We live for.
for you as someone that's working in the organisation, that must be
Hmm.
something that's really fulfilling, to be able to help these athletes and give them a chance on a bigger stage.
Yeah, it is. Because I mean, my background before I came into Special Olympics GB was elite sport, having done 11 years in cricket and a couple of months in football. It is win lose. I've dealt with sort of coach managerial sackings, changes of chief executive, huge changes of um, of leadership, as well as some amazing things. I mean, in cricket in particular, I was part of a team that won every trophy and hosted every major cricketing event possible, really. So yeah, amazing moments and some difficult moments as well. Whereas I suppose within Special Olympics GB, we are seeing lives change as a result of sport, and some incredible moments. I mean, one of my favourite stories that I've worked on, Lloyd Martin, who last year became the youngest person with Down syndrome to run a marathon and break Guinness World Records. Seeing his life change, working with an athlete who I got to know quite well when I went out to Berlin in 2023 for the World Summer Games. I mean, he was previously really reclusive, didn't really go out of his home, play computer games. He started playing football, developed through the Special Olympics pathway, went to a World Games, didn't want to go to the opening ceremony because of his anxiety, scored 4 goals in a quarter-final, got confidence, went to a closing ceremony, said, I want to start working when I get back, and he's got a job. So it just shows what sport does, really. And it's heartwarming to tell those stories on the bigger stage, to have BBC TV profiling one of our athletes who's doing the marathon, not Lloyd, and another guy who's going to break 2 Guinness World Records. His story is going to feature prominently within BBC's marathon coverage. So the families are getting so much, the athletes are getting so much. It's great to see those things happen. Yeah.
And in your specific role as a marketing and communications lead, could you just describe what your kind of typical day looks like and what you're kind of doing within the organisation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose my role historically, I've been sort of all communications based, so PR and communications. I've worked in agency covering organisations such as McDonald's, Land Rover, shopping centres like High Cross in Leicester, as well as some more B2B clients as well. Within Special Olympics GB, I suppose it is the external voice of the organisation. So what we project through our website, through our social media, our relationships with journalists, through that is what I look after. And then from the marketing side, things like the newsletters, so how we communicate with our database, the brand and look and feel and what things should look like when they go to events. So that all comes under my remit. There's no set sort of standard day. I suppose the year is a better thing to sort of work on, because we always have a major event every year. So I came in 2022 at the back end of 2022, and a lot of the work was focusing on Berlin, which was the World Summer Games in 2023. So we had that, and that took a huge part of my role, because we took 84 athletes to that, which was fantastic, great event. But there's a big narrative and story to tell going throughout that journey. In 2024, we had the National Winter Games out in Folgoria in Italy. So there was, I think, 6 skiing clubs as well as some individual skiing athletes who came along, and some figure skating competition as well, 12 figure skaters, where we went to a town called Folgoria in Italy and delivered those events. And then this year we had our World Winter Games out in Turin, where there was around 1,500 athletes from around the world, and we had 10 athletes competing in figure skating and in skiing as well. From my side, those last 2 events, we've had a BBC documentary crew with us. So a guy called Joe Wilson and Rashid Speed, the producer, and they produced an iPlayer documentary of around 26 minutes long, where they tell several athlete stories and the journey that Special Olympics makes. When I came in, I felt that Special Olympics was telling quite often stories of staff and featuring staff a bit too prominently. And it was a difficult period because we hadn't long been out of lockdowns. But so the biggest impact we can make is by telling athlete stories. And when I speak to the families of those athletes. It's like you really need to sort of highlight to me how difficult it's been at times, because if without that sort of ability to articulate how difficult it's been, you can't highlight the journey. So if an athlete has been bullied, I want to know about it. If they've been excluded from mainstream sports, we need to know about it, because it just shows the challenges that people have overcome, because people can't really relate to how difficult it has been unless they really know and tell it. So I always try and get that information out of sort of the families and the athletes where you can do, because it just shows that journey. But athlete storytelling is effectively where I try and spend most of my time, because that's where I think we can make most impact and awareness of what Special Olympics GB does.
And for you, why is sport such like a great platform to raise awareness and bring these athlete stories to light and highlight social issues such as disability?
I mean, sport, why it makes such a difference is the time and the focus it provides. I mean, I've always been interested myself in sport from an early age, and I've never been able to compete at any great levels, really, apart from Herefordshire Schoolboys cricket. But the fulfillment that you get from it, and I suppose when you have something regular in your diary, in your calendar that you can focus on, it makes such a big difference. I mean, you could translate this to multiple industries, for example, in inner cities where you've got gang problems and things like that. It's not relevant to Special Olympics GB, but trusts and foundations of a lot of professional sporting clubs, that's what they do. Rather than people being associated in gangs, it's like, well, no, just get them together playing football. I mean, there's a bigger story. One of the most famous stories of history comes from unifying people through sport, when on Christmas Day in the First World War, the Germans and the English soldiers put down their guns and had a game of football on Christmas Day to take a break from it. So it's a unifying thing where so many people can come together. You've obviously got the health benefits that come from it, the teamwork, and sport can be a great leveler as well. For example, one of our swimming athletes who lives in Dundee, Taylor, I mean, she competes at a very strong level against mainstream swimmers from all over Scotland, and they don't recognise her intellectual disability that she's got. That's where sport is that leveler. But just bringing people together with Special Olympics GB, we are that safe space. So the sessions that our clubs run around the country, they are for people with intellectual disabilities, that safe space where they can come together, enjoy their sport, and feel fulfilled from it and gain confidence from it. Because of a lot of the people we work with, without these opportunities, they would have quite lonely lives. Whereas we bring people together.
And in terms of the future for Special Olympics and particularly Special Olympics GB, what does that future kind of hold, and how can they continue to challenge perceptions in society when it comes to individuals with intellectual disabilities?
More profiling. I mean, I'm personally of the opinion of the way Special Olympics GB would be presented wouldn't be necessarily alongside Olympics and Paralympics where you're just having the pure sport coverage. To me, we would need to have more sport storytelling opportunities. So it would be more documentaries of following our athletes and what they've done, exactly like Joe and Rashid of BBC have showcased what went on at the National Winter Games last year and the World Winter Games earlier this year. Those sporting journeys and seeing the challenges that people have overcome is really the way Special Olympics should be positioning itself, in my opinion. That's why I try and tell athlete stories as much as you can, rather than thinking we should just get live highlights, live coverage of events. Athlete storytelling is a far more powerful way, in my opinion, for that. Maybe live coverage in time, who knows? So that needs to continue. We are hoping, we have ambitions to hold a World Summer Games in the United Kingdom. 2031, we've announced our intention that we would like to do that. And that isn't really a case of just having something for the profile and prestige of bringing another sporting event to the United Kingdom. it is more about how we can change sort of lives and societies, giving more prominence to people with intellectual disabilities, of the challenges they face, what the sporting journey enables them to do. Really showcasing these people at an elevated platform, and that's what hosting a World Summer Games would do. In Berlin, in Germany, there was 7,000 athletes from around the world that came across. They shut down the centre of Berlin in parts to host the World Cycling Competition there. It's a huge event, and if we could have the opportunity to deliver something similar, we could change so much more.
And I've noticed that the one thing you've kind of reinstated time and time again is athlete storytelling. And I suppose the special thing about the Special Olympics is that every athlete does have a story to tell, and those stories will be able to resonate with, I don't know, maybe parents that have children with intellectual disabilities, and it'll give kind of inspiration to people like that. And I suppose that's why the profiling, like you said, is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes parents haven't necessarily come forward, and it's taken me sort of giving them a bit more confidence and awareness of what they can do. If you look at Lloyd Martin last year, who say he broke the Guinness World Record, youngest person with Down syndrome to run a marathon when he did London, and his mum just used the platform of sort of, I wasn't expecting Lloyd to be sort of born with Down syndrome. I had no awareness until he was around 3 days old, with some of the work that was happening, but just the lack of support and advice that was given on that at that time when it happened. But also, so highlighting that, but more so what can be achieved, how Lloyd has done sport at such a young age and the things he's been able to do. I mean, look, Lloyd competes in about 5 or 6 different sports. He's run marathons in London and New York, and he's running London again this year. It's proving to other athletes, but other people with intellectual disabilities, but other parents as well, look how far this journey can go. And we've got another great story with another athlete running London Marathon this year. And the dad wasn't necessarily keen to speak as much about how much he had done, because he feels, well, that's just what a dad does anyway. But just highlighting that journey and how little support there are in some instances. It's just showing what can be achieved, really.
And finally, I just want to take it away from Special Olympics for a sec, and I can see the Forest shirt in the background. Are you a Forest fan, firstly?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you worked at Forest for a couple of months, I believe, at a media level, and they're one of the biggest clubs in the country. With like football clubs' huge influence, like financially and culturally, would you be able to touch on the importance of these football clubs acting as vehicles for social change?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that the trust and foundations of these clubs do. I mean, they're teams that seem to be getting bigger. I mean, yeah, I saw how big the Forest Community Trust was, and incredible work that it was doing in terms of, and this stretches from sort of a community sort of football centre that it ran on the outskirts of Nottingham. Well, I don't think it was the outskirts actually; it's more in town. That was just a community hub for football pretty much throughout the week, 7 days a week, from walking football for more elderly in the morning to sort of youths in the evening that are coming together. It's just, it just shows that these clubs make a huge difference because they just bring the community together in terms of the support, the teams. But more widely than that, it is just the sessions that they deliver in the schools, the sessions that they deliver in evenings and weekends that nobody else is putting on for them, but the clubs are putting them on, and it's driving change. Who knows what these young people will be doing? One of the best examples I saw of that, not necessarily with Forest, but with cricket, with the Warwickshire Cricket Board, as it was at the time, that during Ramadan, which was, I think, around April, May time, that the year it was introduced, they started doing Ramadan cricket sessions. And because of the time of year, the fasting was taking place. The breaking of the fast was taking place quite late at night. I think it might have even been later, more into summer. But they were putting on cricket sessions 10 to 11 a.m. in the indoor centre. Taxis were providing the participants who were all aged between 14 and 21, I think. So there were taxis from their homes to ensure that they got to the indoor cricket centre safely. And then from 10 to 11 p.m., well, just before that, they would break their fast with the iftar. And then come 10 p.m., it would be sort of cricket in the centre, that safe space, allowing you to burn off sort of the food that you'd eaten after breaking the fast and just coming together to enjoy cricket. I mean, that is transformational because you can't do that out on the streets at 10 p.m. After the fast being break. And so, yeah, that was just a real hub of cricket making such a big difference.
And that's the power of sport, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Cricket's not alone. Football, the trust, as I say, they're amazing things that they do, and part of what Special Olympics is doing at the moment, because football's such a growth opportunity for us, is how we can link closer relationships with those trusts. Community trusts being run by the professional clubs. We've got a few relationships in place at the moment. I mean, Fylde up in the northwest has come on board and developed a club for people with intellectual disabilities that is now accredited to Special Olympics GB. So those players can take part in our national competitions and potentially even go to the World Games in 2 years' time as well. They've got that career, that opportunity, that pathway now.
And I think that's a really nice note to end it on. Thanks, Tom, for joining me today. I really do appreciate it.